I want to give you guys some names that are connected to this, so I want to keep this brief. The announcement was made on September 5th. Taking a look at this working group, which consists of 6 private meetings with commercial banks and regulators, and includes the Stellar Development Foundation, Ripple, Aptos Labs, Stellar Development Foundation, Ripple, Aptos Labs, Mensate, and Hedera. The most amazing thing about this is that it is unequivocal evidence that the major participants in the financial system are prepared to incorporate public blockchains. We are at a turning point in the financial system's adoption of blockchain technology. The managing director of the OMFIF's Digital Monetary Institute is the source of this. The technology has advanced. Although the advantages are obvious and momentum is growing, advancement will only be feasible if technologists and regulators have a thorough understanding of one another. By bringing together understanding of one another. By bringing together professionals from banking, technology, and policy, this project directly fills the gap and lays forth a responsible and creative future. Take another look at the names associated with this. Interoperability is also the primary objective of Stellar, Ripple, Aptos, and Hedera, who have been able to resolve the long-standing issue of blockchain and traditional system interoperability, QNT. These organizations, which have played a major role in our financial system, are making a very important push. The working group itself is now present as well. Thus, a couple things are coming up. As illustration, they will be launching a virtual report on November 3. Additionally, the report launch roundtable at the Singapore FinTech Festival Insights Forum will also premiere from the 10th to the 11th. But you're looking at this to investigate the incorporation of public blockchain systems into the conventional financial system, specifically for banks. The OMFIF is establishing a working group. Despite the growing awareness of blockchain's advantages for the financial sector, institutions may still face regulatory obstacles when utilizing public permissionless blockchains. Not to be overlooked is the fact that Stellar is on this list. The reason they are here is clear, even though they don't have any other direct connections, such as with Quant and Hedera. Few may claim to perform as well as Stellar when it comes to regulated stablecoins, generate backed money for EUROT, ECB-approved broad issues for society. In addition to the and Stellar for payment help in Ukraine with USDC, EuroCV, and PayPal, choose Stellar as a third chain for PYUSD. Stellar 100% belongs in the discussion of stablecoins at the institutional level. The next big thing in institutional DLT innovation is stablecoins. Furthermore, we can observe that the DLTs establishing the aforementioned infrastructure are the same ones with whom we have been studying. And it's true that I want everyone to truly get that point. When we consider all of the DLTs that we have discussed for years and years, they are all found in these texts. Additionally, it's possible that you're thinking, well, the OMFIF doesn't really matter. They aren't that well known since, along from the $40+ trillion, have a look at the names connected to their advisors network. These are the participants in the capital market. Major banks including Commercial Bank of China and DZ Bank are present, along with other significant businesses like technology. Additionally, Standard Chartered Bank and the World Bank Group are present. We also have a few other players such as DZ Bank, DBS Bank, and Standard Chartered if we quickly scroll down. Monetary policy comes next. The Bank of China is shown here. These are similar to important universities and institutions, but they are also central banks, such as the Bank of Thailand and Deutsche Bundesbank. These are really big players after all, and we have many large organizations, thus the group is also quite important. Take a look at the list of names here. For instance, if we scroll down here as well, universities aren't the only ones, are they? For example, there are significant international organizations that were formerly centered on our modern financial system. The World Bank, the IMF, and the BIS, for example, are all somewhat associated with institutions such as these. They're now talking about what needs to happen with blockchain, particularly the issues surrounding stable currency and institutional actors' access to them. The Public Blockchain Working Group. Driving Public Blockchain Integration in Banking is the name of the working group that the OMFIF does have, though. That's what this working group is for. Yes, we could see a few things inside this now. Additionally, it seems to me that these 4 are extremely ready for the current crypto landscape, and I want to mention a group, and the OMFIF is that. This article was published in May 2023. Alright, I cited this OMFIF 23. Alright, I cited this OMFIF post, which was taken from a conversation with Ripple on the regulatory approaches to the cryptocurrency industry, where agreement is being reached on the holes that still need to be filled. Once more, I mentioned that I had been closely monitoring the OMFIF, a think tank. The amount of investable assets at $43 trillion is enormous, and I was discussing how Ripple has been concentrating on tokenization with the XRP ledger and just made a significant expansion into crypto custody. Because once more, this group is enormous. Additionally, we are aware that practically all assets will be traveling on-chain. I bring this up now because the OMFIF also provided us with the DMI Annual 2024 Update. These are Annual 2024 Update. These are interoperable blocks, advantages, and solutions. Who was the author of this article? It was written in collaboration with James Wallace, Ripple's Vice President of Central Bank Engagements and CBDCs. This article's primary focus was on the necessity of interoperability among these new currencies. DLTs will allow for rapid fund verification, which will lower friction, will eliminate all of the present inefficiencies associated with cross-border payments. Once more, interoperability associated with cross-border payments. Once more, interoperability allows us to modernize all processes and even introduce automation through the use of blockchain and artificial intelligence. That was this article's primary topic. I'm bringing all of this up again because the new OMFIF Digital Monetary Institute papers were released, and we recently received a significant update from Tokenizer. The topic of a significant update from Tokenizer. The topic of finding a balance between stablecoin innovation and stability is covered in this report. Here we observe several intriguing DLT relationships with XLM, HBAR and QNT. First of all, we could see that Hedera and Stellar.org were both specifically named here, but look at the additional contributors here. In addition to the obvious, both Accenture and Emtech are important players in the Hedera ecosystem, particularly since Accenture made a direct investment in Emtech earlier this year. In addition, the report emphasized Hedera's recent designation as the stablecoin for Wyoming. However, there are also some connections between Quant and R3 and Oracle. Additionally, one of our employees worked on the architecture of Oracle's digital asset platform. Additionally, as is well known, Overledger is used in the development and operation of all of Oracle's DOT systems. In contrast, we have observed that R3 and Quant collaborate to construct the common UK RLN ledger. Although Quant hasn't worked directly on stablecoin pilots, we can be certain that this has been taken into account given their emphasis on the singleness of money. It goes without saying that the market is still down and that many individuals are reluctant to discuss cryptocurrency. At this point, they don't even want to hear about cryptocurrency. However, the most important thing I want everyone to understand is that if you look at any chart, you should look at its historical view. Do you notice the significant changes? Look all the way back to March 2020 as an example, shouldn't you? Examining the historical chart as an example, shouldn't you? Examining the historical chart, a minor blip on the chart is the period in March 2020 which, incidentally, everyone believed to be the end of cryptocurrency. Additionally, this correction be the end of cryptocurrency. Additionally, this correction will be accepted. While we are in the midst of it, everyone believes that it is always the end of the world, but after that, everyone sort of forgets. I firmly believe that this one will also pass because of this, and we must concentrate on the basics if we are considering it. I want to talk about XRP in this video. I would like to discuss XLM additionally, because 2025 has been such an exciting year. I would like to discuss HBAR and QNT. Additionally, I currently have a White House notice on my screen stating that President Donald J. Trump has established the U.S. digital asset stockpile and the strategic Bitcoin reserve. This occurred in March. I bring this up again because cryptocurrency is starting to gain legitimacy this year. The market is changing. Regulations are beginning to take shape. Here, we're also discussing rules, including the Genius Act, which was enacted in July. Again, if we are considering this rationally, we are now seeing the significant